Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our brother, and the message reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? So me and my wife, we are both working here in South Africa. So we have been working here in South Africa for a very long time. And that was when me and my wife said, this money that we have managed to save, we can actually buy a house. So that is what we decided. We then went on Facebook and we then spoke with this other young man who told me that him and his sisters, they were selling their late mother's house because they do not want to stay there anymore. But little did I know that this family, the reason as to why they were selling their late mother's house, it was because of a lot of stuff that happens at their mother's house. So the mom, it is said that she was someone who was more like a witch. There was a lot of witchcraft that was happening at her house. And they did not tell us the truth. They just pretended as if their mother was a good woman. We then decided that when we would go to Zim, we were going to speak with this family. So we went to Mavuku. And when we went to Mavuku, my wife was impressed when we saw the house. She said that we just need to do just a few renovations and everything is going to be okay. So after we had spoken with our lawyers, as well as after they had found some lawyers, we then started with the process of buying that house that belonged to their late mother. So after they had sold that house to us, this was before we had changed the names of the property. That was when we saw that there were a lot of strange things that were going on at that house. So there were some tenants that were staying there. And then they said, please, can you just give us 2 weeks so that we can find another accommodation and then we can move out. So me and my wife, we then agreed. But these 2 weeks, it turned out to be 3 months. And when we returned back to South Africa, my wife was like, those people, they need to move out of our house so that we can start renovating our house. So I then spoke with that young man and he said, fine, he was going to tell the tenants to move out of the house. So I then returned back to Zim. I returned back to Zim alone. So I said, let me go and check out my house. When I arrived in Harare, I said, let me go first and see my property. Then from there on, I will go to my brother's house. But whilst I was walking in town, I don't even know what happened to me, because the next thing that I saw was that I was in this other car and I was headed for this town that is called Marondera. And when I woke up, when I realized that I was in the wrong taxi, that was when I spoke with the driver. And I told that taxi driver that I was on the wrong taxi. I just wanted a refund so that I can return back to Mavuku. And that man, the way that he insulted me, it was just too much. He then stopped his car and he told me to get off from his taxi. The place where he dropped me off, it was a very dangerous place. It was just a bushy area, no houses, no what, just before Marondera. When I got off from the taxi, I then said, let me hike so that I can return back to Harare. Whilst I was on that hiking spot, no taxi was stopping for me, not even a car that would stop for me. Then I saw that there was this other woman. This woman, she just came out of nowhere. So this woman, she was a Muslim woman. She spoke with me. And she was like, brother, do you know that at the place where you are standing, there is someone who was murdered recently? This place where you are, it is not even safe at all. So I then spoke with that woman and I was really scared. So I followed her. She then told me that she was coming from work. So she was working on this other farm. It is a chicken farm. We then went to the farm where she was staying with her husband. And when we arrived there, I saw that most of the people that were staying on that farm, they were from Malawi. So we spoke and they offered me a place to stay. I then slept with these other boys. But before we had gone to bed, they told me that there was one old man who is also from Malawi, who is like a herbalist. That man, he then spoke with me. He then gave me some charms and he said that these charms that I have given you, I want you to place these charms in your pocket. So tomorrow, when you are returning back to Harare, just before you would have entered Harare, I want you to take out these charms. When you are passing through Mavuku, take out these charms, open the window of the taxi in which you will be in, and then you just throw these charms, and then this spirit of that woman will stop following you. That man then told me that he had seen in the spiritual realm that the ghost of that woman was now possessing me. So that is what I did. The next morning, I then took those charms and I placed them in my pocket. After I had gone onto the taxi, I waited until we were passing through Mavuku. When we were passing through Mavuku, that was when I took those charms and I just threw them away. And I went straight to my brother's house. So already I had spoken with my brother, and he had spoken with this other traditional healer who really assisted me. And this traditional healer, he stays in Chitungwiza. So we went there, and when that traditional healer looked at me, he then told me that there was a spirit that was possessing me, the spirit of that woman, because she did not want her house to get sold. So that traditional healer then gave me some herbs and told me to bath myself using those herbs. I then called that boy who had sold this house to me, and I told him, and he apologized. We waited for the whole year for this house to be bought, my brother. So I just want people to be careful. Like when you are busy looking for a property to buy, you just need to make sure that you know everything about that house, because some of the people, even if they know that the house that they are selling, there is a lot of demonic things that will be happening there, they will just sell that house to you. At least I thank God that these people, they were able to pay me back my money. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by our dear brother right there. So his confession, it was a response of this other message that was sent to me by our dear brother as well. So the message that he sent to me, it reads like this. Hello, Brother Nanshi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? So if there is anyone who wants a car, so this car, we sold it to this other man who is a South African man. This is a good Toyota Fortuner, but this car that once belonged to my young brother, there is a lot of stuff that is happening there. So this car, my young brother, when he got so sick, he then called me to the hospital at the place where he was, and he called me and he told me that he did not want us to sell his car after he would have died. He simply said, after I would have died, I want you to take this car to Zim and give it to my father. I am the one who is going to tell my father what he is supposed to do with this car of mine. So after my young brother had passed away, I then spoke with my brother's wife, and I said, we need to take this car to Zim, but she then refused. So the plan was that we were going to speak with the people that will be repatriating his body so that we can use his car. All that we were going to do was to hire a trailer, but my brother's wife then refused. When we returned back to South Africa, that was when she called me, my brother, and my sister to the place where she was staying. She then said that my in-laws, as you can see, I am suffering. I do not have any money. I can't take my kids to school anymore because your brother, he was like the breadwinner, and I am suffering. Please, can you allow me to sell this car that once belonged to my husband? Now that he is dead, please just give me the permission to sell this car. So I did not want her to sell that car, because this is not what my young brother would have wanted us to do. But she then made an offer that we could not resist. She said that we were going to give my father, who was back home in Zim, 20,000 rands, and then she was going to take half of the money, which was going to be 60,000 rands, and we were going to take 60,000 rands. So ever since I had came to South Africa, I had never gotten so much money, like 20,000 all at once. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. Why not? So we then sold that car to this other South African man. This car, it was well maintained, and he did not even complain. He came and he paid the full cash, no negotiations. He then took that car to his place. But so many months later, that was when this South African man called me and he was like, my brother, I want you to return me back my money. I do not want this car anymore. I was like, why, my brother? He then said that this car, it is like a tokoloshi. It is like I just went and I got myself a tokoloshi so that it can just finish my money. He was complaining and he was saying that he has tried to fix this car, but all that this car has been doing to him is to finish all of his money. This man, he was angry. So the problem is that this man, he then thought of taking this car to the auction because I said, we do not have any money. How about you take this car to the auction? So he said it is fine. He was going to take that car to the auction. This man, he said that the day that the people of the auction came to check out the car was not even working. But the moment that he gave them the keys, this car, it was as if it was brand new. It was working, and they said that they were going to come and collect the car. So in that same street where this man is staying, there is another man who is from Zim. So when those people were about to come and collect the car, then that man who is from Zim, who is working as a gardener, it was said that he started to act as if he was a madman. He came and he ran and he started banging and throwing stones into that man's yard and banging on his gate. So he went to the front gate to find that man whom he knew very well from Zim, and he asked him what was wrong. This man then told him that if he was going to sell that car, then this was going to be the end of his life. So he then kept the car. So this man, he is angry. He is saying that he wants his money back. My brother, I am just poor. I will never get this 140,000 rands that he is demanding. I don't know if there is anyone who thinks that they are powerful, who wants this car. This car, it is not moving, but this car, it is still okay. It does not want this car anymore. This car is not moving, but this car, the engine is still okay. It is just everything that is happening on that car. It is just spiritual. We did the things that my young brother told us to do. Please assist me. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by our dear brother. Strange things do happen in this world.